Maybe you clicked here out of curiosity, or maybe, without even realizing, you were looking for a quiet corner where words arrive slowly and silence is part of the conversation. I wrote this story with care, like stitching together memories, little hurts, and small discoveries, hoping that somewhere along the way, you might see a piece of yourself in it. If that happens, even for a moment, stay. Listen for as long as you'd like, and if you feel like leaving a small sign of "I'm here," a like, a share, or even a quiet comment, it means more than you know. I always thought the week before my wedding would be the happiest time of my life. My name's Lauren Carter. I'm 27, and I've spent the last 3 years building what I thought was a perfect relationship with Ethan Miller. He's kind, attentive, successful enough for my mom to brag about, and I was stupid enough to think he was my forever. We had just finished our engagement photo shoot that morning. My mom, Helen, had been buzzing with excitement for weeks, texting me every day with new Pinterest ideas for the reception, tagging me in bridal Instagram posts, and telling anyone who would listen that her perfect daughter had finally found the perfect man. That night, I decided to swing by her house in Maplewood, New Jersey, to drop off a copy of the dress-fitting schedule and have dinner. The neighborhood was quiet, bathed in warm golden light from the street lamps. Mom's white porch lights were on, the same ones that used to guide me home in high school. I let myself in with my old house key. "Mom?" I called out softly, expecting her to pop her head out of the kitchen. Silence. The living room was empty, TV off, half-finished glass of wine on the coffee table. Weird. She usually had the Hallmark channel on when she was home alone. I took the stairs slowly, thinking maybe she was napping or on a call upstairs. As I reached the landing, I heard it, a soft laugh, low and intimate, coming from her bedroom down the hall. It froze me in place. Another sound followed, a murmur, a man's voice, familiar. I don't even know what compelled me to move forward, but my legs carried me toward the slightly ajar door. My heart pounded in my throat. I nudged the door open a few inches, and the world, as I knew it, ended right there. The laugh came again, softer this time, muffled by walls, but it was enough to make my stomach twist. I don't know what I was expecting. Maybe Mom on a FaceTime call with one of her friends, or Ethan upstairs helping her fix something for the wedding. Something innocent. Anything innocent. But as I crept closer to her bedroom, my brain registered the details I didn't want to acknowledge. The faint clink of a wine glass being set down. The low hum of a man's voice, Ethan's voice. A whispered laugh that wasn't just happy. It was intimate. My fingers shook as I pushed the door open just an inch more, and then I saw them. My mom, was wrapped in Ethan's arms on her bed, sheets tangled around their bodies. His hand trailed along her shoulder, her fingers pressed against his chest. Their faces glowed with a warmth I'd never seen before, not even when he looked at me. My heart didn't just break, it went silent. It was like the whole world stopped breathing with me. I stepped back instinctively, the carpet soft under my feet, and carefully eased the door shut until it clicked softly. Not loud enough for them to notice. Not loud enough for them to know I was there. They had no idea that I had just watched my entire life implode. I forced myself down the stairs, each step deliberate, every muscle in my body trembling. My chest felt like it was collapsing inward, but no tears came. Not yet. By the time I reached the front door, a drizzle had started outside, dampening the driveway and the old mailbox I used to check as a kid. The street was quiet except for the soft hiss of rain on asphalt. I walked into it without an umbrella, cold, wet, but hollow. My engagement, my family, my sense of reality, gone. Somewhere in the distance, I thought I heard another laugh drift through the upstairs window. But I didn't look back. I didn't cry that night. I sat alone in my apartment in Hoboken, lights off. The city hummed faint through the rain-speckled windows. My wedding dress was hanging in the corner like a ghost, staring at me, silently asking if I was still that girl who believed in happily ever after. I wasn't. Not anymore. I wrapped myself in the throw blanket on the couch, knees pulled tight to my chest, and let the hours bleed into each other. No calls, no texts. I didn't tell a soul what I'd seen in that house. Instead, my mind kept replaying moments I used to treasure. My mom telling me, "Sweetheart, you have to know how to keep a man happy. If he leaves, that's on you." Ethan kneeling in the candlelight of our apartment last Christmas, promising me forever. My mother's proud smile as she gushed about our perfect couple to the neighbors. Every memory felt contaminated now. By the time the first light of morning seeped through my blinds, I had made a decision. I picked up my phone and typed, "Morning, babe. Hope you slept well. Can't wait to see you tonight." I hit send. My hand didn't shake. Seconds later, Ethan replied with a string of heart emojis and, "Miss you already. Counting the days." I stared at the message, my chest hollow but calm. He had no idea. I wasn't going to scream. I wasn't going to confront him, or my mother. Not yet. If I exploded, if I gave in to my rage and grief, I'd look like the fool. I'd become a messy story whispered about at family gatherings, a cautionary tale of the hysterical bride. No. I was going to make them regret this in a way they'd never see coming. I whispered to the quiet apartment, "I'll let them have their perfect day, and I'll make sure it's the last thing they ever enjoy together." I started sketching the first outlines of my plan on the back of a wedding invitation. My pen pressed hard against the cardstock, leaving angry grooves where my handwriting trembled. I was done being their victim. By Monday morning, my grief had hardened into something sharp, something cold. I wasn't Lauren the bride anymore. I was Lauren the executioner, and I had 5 days to build the perfect stage. The first move was easy. I texted my mom, "Hey, thinking of hiring a small crew to film some behind-the-scenes wedding prep. Thought it'd be cute for a keepsake." She loved the idea, of course. "Content is king," she always said when scrolling through her friends' Facebook reels. She didn't question it for a second. By that evening, I had booked a discreet production team in Manhattan, freelancers I found online who specialized in lifestyle documentation. They thought they were filming a sweet, Pinterest-perfect pre-wedding story. They didn't know I'd hidden miniature cameras in the equipment they'd set up around my mother's house, her kitchen, hallway, and yes, her bedroom. Over the next 5 days, the footage rolled in, Ethan sneaking in mid-afternoon when he was working late. My mother laughing, flushed, draped over him like a woman half her age. Whispered promises I never wanted to hear. I didn't watch it all at once. I couldn't. But I saw enough. Then came the second move. I hired a freelance editor, a hacker, really, through an encrypted forum. Paid him in crypto for anonymity. His task? Splice the horror into something beautiful. He took our engagement photos, the family Christmas cards, the soft clips of me and Ethan holding hands, and interwove them with secret footage of their betrayal. Slow fades, romantic music, a grotesque love story hiding inside what looked like a wedding highlight reel. And then, the final flourish. He programmed the file to autoplay at a specific moment during the first champagne toast. Right after everyone said, "To love, forever." No one suspected a thing. Not Ethan, not Mom, not even my best friend, who thought I was just a bride chasing her dream of a cinematic wedding. Every time Ethan kissed me that week, I smiled. Every time Mom squeezed my hand and said how proud she was, I nodded. None of them knew the stage was already set, and the trap was ticking toward their perfect public hell. The rehearsal dinner was a blur of warm lights, clinking glasses, and fake smiles. Mom, Helen, was radiant in a deep navy dress, laughing with her friends like she was the star of the weekend. Ethan couldn't keep his hands off me in public, playing the part of the perfect fiancé. To anyone else, we were the picture of happiness. Inside, I was ice. I didn't feel nervous or angry anymore, just still. My calm was so sharp, it scared even me. That night, back in my apartment, I slipped out of my heels and sat in front of the mirror in my bedroom. My reflection stared back, pale under the soft lamplight, a woman I barely recognized. I whispered to her, "Tomorrow will be the day neither of you ever forget." Then I turned to my desk, where my laptop and 2 USB drives waited. The highlight video sat there like a coiled snake. I double-checked every safeguard, a copy on my personal laptop, 2 encrypted USB drives in separate bags, a version uploaded to the venue's AV system, scheduled to play automatically during the first toast. I even scheduled a cloud backup in case someone tried to stop the playback. There was no turning back. I slipped one USB into the clutch I'd carry down the aisle and tucked the other into a pocket in my overnight bag. Then, for the first time in 5 days, I exhaled fully. I didn't pray. I didn't hope for justice. I just knew that by this time tomorrow, the 2 people who had destroyed my life would finally watch it collapse in front of everyone they cared about. The ballroom at the Westbridge Hotel shimmered under a chandelier of 1,000 crystals. Golden light spilled across white linens, fresh peonies, and champagne flutes lined like soldiers awaiting their cue. Ethan looked devastatingly handsome in his tailored black tux. My mother, Helen, was a vision in emerald silk, her smile brighter than any bride's I'd ever seen. The guests buzzed with envy, awe, and admiration. I played my part flawlessly. I laughed when my bridesmaids whispered compliments. I twirled during the first dance like I hadn't been hollowed out a week ago. I smiled into Ethan's eyes, and he saw only love. But beneath the lace and pearls, my heart was a block of ice. Dinner plates clinked, champagne bottles popped. The night flowed perfectly toward the moment I had been waiting for. The MC, a jovial man in a silver suit, tapped the mic. "Ladies and gentlemen, let's raise our glasses to the beautiful couple." Ethan squeezed my hand. My mother dabbed at the corner of her eye, the picture of maternal pride. Then the lights dimmed, and the giant screen at the far end of the ballroom flickered to life. At first, it was exactly what everyone expected. Clips of Ethan and me at the engagement shoot. Sweet childhood photos of me in my mom's arms. Slow-motion twirls from the dress fitting. Guests cooed and clapped. Then, the music shifted almost imperceptibly. The next clip rolled. Ethan in my mother's bedroom, shirt half-buttoned, his hand sliding along her shoulder. Then another, her fingers gripping his hair, his lips on her neck. Their soft moans blended grotesquely with the romantic piano soundtrack. Gasps rippled through the room. Is that?" someone whispered, before another voice rose in a horrified, "Oh my God!" Chairs scraped. Someone dropped a glass. Helen's face went corpse pale. Ethan's hand slipped from mine as he stumbled back, eyes wide and unblinking. And me? I simply lifted my champagne flute, sipped, and watched my masterpiece unravel their perfect little world. For one frozen, perfect moment, I felt untouchable. This was justice. This was my coronation. Then the room erupted into chaos. The ballroom buzzed with gasps and whispers as my video played in full, their betrayal on proud display. I watched Ethan stagger back, watched Helen grip the table like it was the only thing tethering her to earth. And then the screen flickered. The wedding video abruptly cut to a grainy, low-lit recording. Me, in a hotel room. I froze. My own face stared back at me from the giant screen, hair tousled, champagne in hand, laughing with a man I had never seen before. He leaned in, and the angle made it look like we were kissing. Then came the text overlay, stylized like phone messages. Me. He doesn't make me happy. Only you do. Unknown. Number. Can't wait to see you again, babe. A stunned murmur swept across the crowd. Ethan's pale face turned crimson, his jaw clenching as he looked at me, hurt, betrayed, and furious. You... His voice shook, breaking just enough for everyone to hear. I forgave you? And this is how you humiliate us? On our wedding day? What? I stammered, my throat closing in panic. I hadn't made that video. I had never even seen that man in my life. But it didn't matter. The guests were already leaning away from me, whispering. Phones were out, filming. Someone hissed, "Disgusting!" Helen, my mother, the woman I had just exposed, clutched her chest and collapsed into a chair, gasping like a heartbroken victim. Bridesmaids rushed to her side. And in that surreal moment, I became the villain. The perfect trap I had built for them had snapped shut on me instead. I could feel the room slipping away, my story, my truth, my life, all stolen in a single twist I hadn't seen coming. In less than 5 minutes, the ballroom transformed into my personal hell. I could feel hundreds of eyes slicing into me, shock, disgust, and a hint of gleeful voyeurism. My voice cracked as I shouted, "It's fake! I didn't do this! I've never seen that man in my life!" But the louder I protested, the more pathetic I sounded. Ethan's mother whispered something into his ear, and he straightened his back, face carved in righteous fury. "My family won't tolerate this," he said coldly, his voice carrying across the room. "The wedding is off." Gasps, murmurs, phones recording every moment. My own relatives, people who had watched me grow up, looked away in shame. Some shook their heads, as if I had single-handedly defiled the sacredness of marriage. Meanwhile, Helen, my mother, sat slumped in her chair, tears streaking her perfect makeup, whimpering like the portrait of a woman whose daughter had ruined her life. A sympathetic aunt patted her shoulder and muttered, "Poor thing. First her daughter cheats, then humiliates her on her big day." I wanted to scream that she was the villain, that Ethan was the liar, that this was their sin, not mine. But the truth was buried under the avalanche of appearances. By nightfall, the clips had escaped the ballroom. My affair video was already on Instagram and TikTok, uploaded by gleeful guests. Strangers commented, "Cheating bride gets karma at her own wedding. Why do women like this even get engaged?" Meanwhile, the video I had crafted, the damning montage of Ethan and my mother, was rebranded as a bitter revenge stunt. Blog posts and gossip accounts spun the narrative effortlessly. Bride caught cheating tries to frame fiancé and mother with fake video after being exposed. I stared at my phone in my hotel room, the world closing in around me. No one believed me. No one ever would. And somewhere I knew Helen and Ethan were together, comforting each other in their shared victory. Weeks passed, but the humiliation didn't fade. It calcified. Ethan and my mother, Helen, vanished like smoke. Social media whispered that they'd moved to a city 3 states away, living in a new condo under his name. Neighbors said they looked like a couple, not a mother and her former almost son-in-law. Meanwhile, my world shrank to a single bedroom in my apartment. I lost my job a week after the wedding. Given the publicity, it's better for the company if we part ways, my manager had said, eyes full of awkward pity. Family group chats grew silent whenever my name appeared. My cousins unfollowed me. Old friends stopped replying. The internet branded me a liar, a cheater, a cautionary tale. I avoided mirrors at first, but one night, I forced myself to look. The woman staring back wasn't the confident bride-to-be from a month ago. Her eyes were hollow. Her shoulders curled inward like she was trying to disappear. And in that moment, I understood something cruel and irrevocable. I had lost. Not just the wedding, not just Ethan. I had lost my reputation, my family, my sense of self. Somewhere, in a new house filled with stolen happiness, Helen and Ethan were probably sipping wine, toasting to their escape, laughing at how easily they had turned me into the villain. Evil had won, and it hadn't even needed to hide. One gray afternoon, I wandered through downtown, hood up against the drizzle. My life had shrunk to aimless walks and empty evenings. A familiar street pulled me in, past the old coffee shop where I'd once waited for Ethan, nervously checking my phone, planning our future. Through the rain-streaked glass, I froze. There they were, Ethan and my mother, Helen, sitting across from each other, laughing like a couple sharing some private joy. His hand brushed hers over the table. She leaned in, her eyes sparkling in that same way she used to when she praised me for being the perfect daughter. For a heartbeat, time stopped. Then Helen's gaze lifted, met mine through the glass. No fear, no guilt, just victory. A subtle, silent acknowledgement that I had lost and they had won. I didn't go inside. I didn't scream or throw the coffee mugs or demand justice. I just kept walking, shoes soaked, the cold rain plastering my hair to my face. My shadow stretched across the wet pavement, fragile and crooked, like it was trying to escape me. In that moment, the truth crystallized. The wicked were thriving, and I, once the bride, the daughter, the believer, had become a ghost haunting the edges of my own life. Maybe you clicked here out of curiosity, or maybe, without realizing it, you were looking for a quiet corner where words arrive slowly and even the silence has something to say. I wrote this story with care, stitching together memories, little hurts, and discoveries, hoping that, at some point, you might see yourself in it. If that happens, even just for a moment, stay. Listen for as long as you like, and if you feel like leaving a small sign that you were here, a simple hi in the comments, or a quiet like, means more than you know. The late summer sun was sliding behind the Oregon pines as I turned my car into the familiar driveway of the house where I grew up. My 7-year-old daughter, Lily, pressed her nose against the window, her eyes wide with wonder. "Grandma and Grandpa's house," she squealed. I smiled, though a pang of old memories tugged at me. It had been years since I stayed here for more than a quick visit. This old house had watched me grow up, heard every argument, and seen every tear I swore I'd never shed again. But I wanted Lily to know her grandparents, to feel that she had a bigger family than just the two of us. When I opened the door, the smell of cinnamon and cedar hit me first. My mother, Margaret, was there, smiling like nothing had ever happened. She wrapped her arms around me tightly, the kind of hug that made you wonder if it was love or performance. "Stay for a while, sweetheart," she said warmly. "This house has missed the sound of children's laughter." My father, George, shuffled in from the living room, giving Lily a gentle pat on the head. He wasn't a man of many words, but the small smile he offered almost made me believe things could be different now. As we unpacked, I let myself relax. Maybe they had changed. Maybe the harsh words and cold shoulders of the past were just that. The past. I even sent a text to my best friend in Portland. Maybe this visit will be good for Lily. Maybe for me too. That night, after Lily had fallen asleep in the guest room filled with old family photos, I crept downstairs for a glass of water. The house was quiet, except for the faint hum of the fridge. I was about to head back up when I froze. From the living room, I heard voices, hushed, sharp. My parents. "She's here with the kid again," my mother whispered. My father sighed. "I know, just be patient. We can handle it." Then came the words that made my stomach drop. "That little girl is so annoying." I gripped the banister, heart pounding, realizing that maybe nothing had changed at all. Cliffhanger. I held my breath in the dark hallway, wondering what other truths were being whispered in the house I once called home. The next morning, the kitchen was filled with the warm scent of maple syrup and fried eggs. Sunlight spilled across the table where my daughter Lily perched on a high chair, swinging her legs happily. For a moment, the house almost felt like the safe haven I wanted it to be. During breakfast, Lily launched into a bubbly story about her best friend at school, the art project they'd made together, and how she wanted to be a veterinarian when she grew up. "And then, we made a clay cat, but its tail fell off," she giggled, her voice echoing through the cozy kitchen. I smiled, but across the table my father's jaw tightened. He set his coffee cup down with a sharp clink. "Lily," he said, his voice cold. "Be quiet for a minute. Let the adults talk." Her little face froze, the light in her eyes dimming. I felt my stomach twist. "Dad, she's just—" I started, but he was already turning to my mother, launching into a conversation about property taxes, like my daughter didn't exist. I forced a smile at Lily, gently squeezing her hand under the table. "They're just tired," I told myself. "It's been years. Maybe they're just adjusting." But as the day went on, I began noticing more of the same. A subtle sigh from my father whenever Lily asked a question. A glance from my mother when Lily laughed too loudly at the cartoons. It was like I had brought a storm cloud into their perfectly controlled little world. That night, after putting Lily to bed, I went downstairs for tea. On my way back up, the faint murmur of voices drifted from the living room again. I paused, just out of sight. "She's exactly like her mother was," my mom whispered. George's voice was lower, harder to catch. "Margaret, she's just a kid." "But you remember, don't you?" She snapped quietly. "Always loud, always needing something. I swear, it's like watching that same nuisance grow all over again." I stood frozen in the hallway, my chest tight. Memories I had buried for years clawed their way up. Those dinners where I sat silent as my parents talked over me. Those times I was scolded for laughing, for existing too much. I had always felt like a burden in this house, and now my little girl was carrying that same weight.